there. So in the last part, we just had an introduction about the classification. We learned that there are 5 kingdom systems, and we have learned the hierarchy of classification. Now we are officially going to start all the kingdoms, and then obviously animal and plant kingdom are the one that we have to learn in a much and needed detail. Now we are going to start the kingdom, and we know that there are 5 kingdoms. So let's start it. I'm going to share my screen first, and then I say something. There's the presentation. You might not able to see the very first screen of presentation, but now you are. Okay, so I have already added up there that these are the topics that we are going to cover in today's part. Biggest plant and animal kingdom, we have to learn that in detail. And I will try to finish one kingdom in one part, especially about plant and animal, that I just go cover plant kingdom in one part and animal in the same way. So here we'll be learning the 3 brief about kingdom Monera, Protista, and the Fungi. So without any wasting any time, let's start learning. So basically, first of all, let's take a look to the brief outlook of the 5 kingdoms. It might be a revision for you guys because I have told you this thing in the last part also, that organisms are of 2 types, prokaryote and eukaryote. Prokaryote, pro means purana, primitive. I'm just repeating this thing for you. Pro means primitive. So it has primitive type of nucleus. Wherever you see the word karyo, that means they're talking about the nucleus. And then U means true. So they have the true nucleus. You've learned that in cell chapter. So no more detail is required. But prokaryote have very tiny simple cells. They are the unicellular organisms, no true nucleus and no much cell organelles, which is there in the eukaryote, which is like a proper well-managed cell. Into the prokaryote, there is only one kingdom, which is kingdom Monera, and examples are bacteria. They have written just one example, but in the last part, I have told you so many of the examples. I'll repeat that, don't worry. And then eukaryote. Then they have further classified eukaryote on the basis of cell wall, whether it is present or not. If I say that's present here, I mean, or you may say, okay, the further classification actually will be on the basis of the composition. We don't have to get into that. So if the cell wall is there, they are of 2 types, autotroph and heterotroph. I don't have to tell you this definition at least. Auto means self, tropho means nutrient, hetero means other, troph means nutrient. So plants are the autotroph. Examples are mosses, ferns, gymnosperm, angiosperms. Heterotrophs, they are dependent. So it has actually into the heterotroph, certain insectivores category can also be kept. So that they must have mentioned it here, but I'm speaking it here. Insectivores plant also. Okay, to hell with my writing right now. Okay, so it has the fungi and yeast, mold, mushrooms are the example. Now talking about when the cell wall, this is not present. When there is no cell wall, then the organism's classification is whether unicellular or multicellular. So talking about the unicellular thing, Monera, they are also unicellular. It's just a revision. And then Protist is the unicellular. Rest all of them are multicellular except into the fungi, yeast is the one which is unicellular. Only yeast. I'll highlight it with the different pen color. Blue color? Okay. Yeast is the unicellular. Okay, now talking about the unicellular, all the protists, and then in multicellular, all the animals, including insect, fishes, mammals, whatsoever. This is like a brief outlook, all the classification factors. So now this is the time to learn all the kingdom in detail manner. The kingdom Monera. Bacteria, cyanobacteria, mycobacterium. Tell me more example. You have learned that in the last part. Archibacteria, FII. Archibacteria are the most special one because they are the ones which can survive in extreme condition. Even if it is high temperature, very low temperature, acidic condition, they can just survive. Okay, Archibacteria, mycobacteria, blue, green algae. Okay, cyanobacteria is written. These are the examples. Guys, do not confuse blue-green algae with algae. Cyanobacteria, this is also known as blue-green algae. This is another name, and blue-green algae is not an algae. It was at the first point when they invented it, there was a confusion. That's why, but then they belong to Monera category. Now, guys, why I have told you example first, I know that you know the reason. Because once you remember the example, on the basis of example, you can write the property. Imagine you're keeping your bacteria in the mind, and then you're writing its property. It will become easy for you that they are unicellular prokaryote, they don't have any proper nucleus. Then you can just write that genetic material is present just like that, that's the center, and we call it as the nucleoid, which is nothing but it is a single DNA, single coiled DNA. The diagram should have been good, but that's fine. This is the nucleoid. They may or may not contain a cell wall, because cell wall is present in bacteria, but then in other monoron that's not there. So cell wall is there in the bacteria also. They are heterotrophic and they are heterotrophic also. And into the heterotrophic and into the autotrophic also, some of the bacteria are chemosynthetic bacteria also. They use chemical for preparation of their food, and they're not producing oxygen in that way. For example, nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay. And guys, I suppose these points are enough for you. But if you want to add few more points, I will suggest you to keep bacteria in your brain while you talk about. Talking about the structure of bacteria, they have the cell wall, they have the cell membrane. You may say that they have the selectively permeable membrane. All the cellular activity membrane, all the activities of the body, life processes, I will say, that is shown by them. They are able to excrete, they are able to reproduce. So they have various ways of reproduction, like they can show binary fission, they can show multiple fission, and they show sexual reproduction also. They literally fuse and pass on the genetic information, because fission is under the asexual reproduction, so that also happens. Now, one interesting thing into them, that many of the monerans can survive in extreme condition. For example, archibacteria can survive in extreme condition, high temperature and salty condition. Now, let me think about more points. Actually, there are a hell lot of points I will be covering. Oh, I had space here. Sorry, I forgot. Into the bacteria structure, the basic structure is, first of all, there is a cell wall. Actually, the very external covering is capsule. I'm specifically talking about the bacteria. Capsule is not present in all the bacteria. Capsule is a protecting layer. Bacteria which are disease causing, they usually have the capsule, because capsule can protect themselves, and capsule is made up of carbohydrate. Now, under the capsule, there are two type of bacteria: capsulated and non-capsulated. Known will not be having, and they're not the disease-causing one. They will be having cell wall, and then they will be having the cell membrane, and internally genetic material is present just like that, nucleoid. And then they have ribosome also, which help in protein formation. I don't know whether you remember or not, but into the cell chapter, you must have learned about the ribosome. Prokaryote do not have the modified ribosome. Their ribosome is simple type, which is known as 70S type of ribosome. Into the moneran, 70S type of ribosome is present. In eukaryote, 80S type of ribosome is present, which has high molecular weight. 70S it's with this less molecular weight, with the smaller size. And S is actually the sedimentation rate. They just move it up into the centrifugation machine. It's a machine where molecules are moved at really very high speed, and then they settle down. So it's that coefficient or that constant, the value, I will say. Okay, let me think about more points. Monerans. Kingdom Monera, nutrition, digestion, excretion. They show different. Actually, not all the monerans have same way of, I would say, way of eating, same way of surviving. It's different in different. Like I was talking about archibacteria, but all of them can survive in extreme conditions. But yeah. And then you can obviously say that monerans, they were first to be evolved on Earth. Cell organelles. Did I mention all about the cell organelle there? So you can say that most of cell organelle most of cell organelle are absent. Okay, they have just ribosome. One special property in many of the bacteria is that they can have external DNA. Other than the nucleoid DNA, there are certain additional DNA present in them which are used in genetic engineering. Let me change the pen color. Like suppose this is the bacteria. Other than this, there are circular DNA present in them which is known as plasmid. So the plasmid has the PLASMID. Plasmid are really very special because it helps in genetic engineering experiments. It is used in genetic engineering experiment. I have to escape it up so that my writing becomes smooth. Give me a second. Keep the data. Full screen again. Desktop. Zoom. I'm keeping you busy by speaking it up. Now my writing comparatively must be better. Smooth when just re-enter. So these are all the property of mononeurons that you can do. And you talk about the plasmid genetic engineering experiment into the bacteria only. So with this, we are done with the kingdom Monera thing, and I suppose everything is clear to you. Let's move toward the kingdom Protista. But before that, you see a picture here. That's actually a video on kingdom Monera. I am going to share and show you that video. And in the last part, I was talking. I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to show you that by the end. But there's another video on the. I suppose that's the same video, but that's fine. Let's see kingdom Monera. I'm going to put it on silent because you're going to listen to me. Kingdom Monera. Kingdom Monera include, it's some machine voice I'm trying to speak in. Bacteria, they're the most abundant one. They live in extreme habitat, desert, in the snow, and deep ocean. Omnipresent, you can say. So they are unicellular, have no distinct nucleus. They have a naked DNA. Structure is very simple, you see. The diagram that I was talking about. Capsule, cell membrane, cell wall internally, nucleoid. They show the extensive metabolic diversity. Some of the bacteria, they are autotrophic, that they prepare their food from inorganic substances. We call it as the chemosynthetic one. For example, nitrogen fixing bacteria. Vast majority of bacteria are heterotrophic, so they remain on dead and decaying material also. You can say that kingdom mononeurons show decomposition into their properties. That's it. I thought it's a long video. I didn't realize. Okay, so now let me see it already. Okay, next is on the fungus. I'll come back there once I talk about the fungus. So the next one is protist. No, you haven't. Okay, so in the 8th class in microorganism chapter, you have learned the protist. So protist, you must have learned about the protozoa actually. Protozoa come under protist. Protist is the second kingdom. It includes all organisms. They are unicellular and they have the eukaryotic one. They are the advanced. So all the cell organelles are present. So they are having ATS type of ribosome. Into that cell organelle, you can mention mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, blah, blah, blah. You can just mention everything is present, but then you can also say that ATS type of ribosome is present, which has comparatively high molecular weight. Then they are heterotrophic and they are autotrophic also. From this, guys, you must have heard the word plankton. I don't know in your lower grades or not, but you must have learned the food chain. Plankton, zooplankton, phytoplankton, and then they are eaten up by the small fishes. Then there are big fishes which are eating upon to them. Plankton is a general term. It's a general term. It's not a kingdom. It's not a category. Plankton is a general term which are miniature creature, microstructure present in the water. And plankton are of two types, phytoplankton and zooplankton. Phytoplankton are autotrophic. They show photosynthesis. They make their own food. Zooplankton, they are heterotrophic. They do not make their own food. They are dependent. So technically, zooplankton eat upon the phytoplankton. If we talk about the food chain, phytoplankton eat upon the zooplankton and the small fishes and then big fishes. But these plankton are nothing, but they are protist only. Slime mold, amoeba, euglena, dinoflagellate, they all are the planktons. Like suppose euglena is able to show photosynthesis. It's a phytoplankton. Dinoflagellate is also macroalga. They're able to show photosynthesis. They are phytoplankton. Now slime mold, paramecium, they're not able to show photosynthesis. They're zooplankton. So they eat upon each other, then small fishes will be eating them up, and then big fishes will be, acts like a chain. Phyto means they have plant-like characteristic, and plankton is everything which is present like a microscopic structure, which is a food and feed for the another lower organism, which is bigger than them. Okay. They possess the cell organelle. They have the pseudopodia. Actually, they show different kind of locomotion and different way of eating the food. Pseudopodia are the false feet, which help in eating it up. I mean, you must have learned that since your lower grade. I don't have to give you any explanation. Like in amoeba, they have a not improper shape, so they engulf the food by making arms around and just taking it in. That's pseudopodia. They have cilia and flagella for locomotion. This is the flagella, and like the one on the paramecium, there are a lot of cilia. So they are helping in locomotion into them. Do I have a space there on the okay? So I have added picture up there. So this is all about the Protista. Then you can say then they show a number of way of reproduction also. I suppose everything is clear to you. So these are the diagram of all the Protista one that they have added up there. Isn't it good? Yeah, they are. This is amoeba. Okay. So now my point is that Protista, as I have told you, they have membrane-bound organelle. You can just write this in the property that membrane-bound organelles are present. They show different way of eating food. For example, in amoeba, they show phagocytosis. They can also move by different ways. Like flagella cilia is there, and amoeba also shows cytoplasmic movement for the locomotion. Cytoplasm keep on providing it movement, that thing. Okay, now talking about one example, which is euglena. Euglena has a very special property. Euglena is a connecting link between plants and animals. It is a connecting link between plants and animals. Reason being, in the daytime, euglena become photosynthetic, and in the night time, and it become photosynthetic and it become autotroph. Means photosynthesis happens. And in the night time, it become heterotroph, and here no photosynthesis happen. So that's why it is a special property, and that is the reason that euglena is a connecting link, that it has both the properties of plants and animals. Is that clear? Now, talking about, I'm almost done with all the properties, and example I have already told you on the last screen also, a lot of examples were written. And let me think if any other point is missed into the kingdom. You can talk about the reproduction in them. They also show sexual reproduction. And one more thing, they show fission also. Longitudinal and transverse fission. Longitudinal and transverse. You must have learned that in 8th class, no? Binary fission. In paramecium, euglena. And some of them show... No, that's not. Okay, so next you can say, yeah, one more thing, that many of them can make a hard covering around them, can make a cyst. Actually, let me change the pen color first. Many of them can make a, where I am, yeah, here, can make a cyst in the unfavorable condition. Whenever the conditions are not suitable, they will make a hard covering around them, and then in that time they will be dividing inside, and when favorable condition come, they're like burst out. That's known as multiple fission. Now guys, FYI, the disease causing malaria 1, Protista has a category named Protozoa. Maximum disease causing organisms are under it. Malaria caused by Anopheles mosquito, but then actual pathogen is Plasmodium into the saliva that is present. Did I mention that in the last part? I don't think so. So during the time they bite us, then they take entry into our body. So Plasmodium is also belong to the kingdom Protista. So into the kingdom Protista, there is a category named Protozoa. Protozoa has all the category, like amoeba is also under Protozoa. Then Paramecium is also under Protozoa. Slime mold is a separate category. Diatom is also. Nanoflagellate is also. Acha. So into this protozoa, what I was saying, Plasmodium is also the one that is disease causing. So then you can just write it into the property that many of the protozoans are disease causing also. Clear? You will be learning that in why do we follow chapter in detail. African sleeping sickness is there, Antamoeba histolytica, dysentery problem because of the protozoan category, a lot of them. So with this, we are done with a brief category about this. What do we say? Kingdom Protista. Now we have to talk about the next one, which is fungi. I suppose everything is clear to you. Fungus. Fungus is like maximum people have seen. When the food is being spoiled, they are actually bacteria, and these fungi, na, they help in decomposition. They help in decomposition. How they just do decomposition? Like suppose this is dead and decaying material. So what they will do, the fungus, let me change the pen color. Like suppose there is a fungus. This fungus, it is going to release enzyme outside. Then these enzymes, they will convert complex food material, to them it is a food, they will convert into the simple molecule. Then that simple molecule, this is absorbed by the fungus. Simple molecule absorbed by them. This kind of digestion is known as extracellular digestion. Where externally to the body, because enzymes are being released outside. That's the point. Because inside us, it's intracellular, in between the body, intracellular, not inside the cell, but outside the cell means cells are, helping it up. But yeah, extracellular. But into us also extracellular, but in the stomach, that's different story. In human, it's a different story. I don't have to even compare it about. But if I talk about the simple organisms, they show extracellular where enzymes are getting out. So they help in decomposition through this process. They all are multicellular, they all are eukaryotic one. They have a saprophytic mode of nutrition on dead and decaying material. Their cell wall is made up of chitin. Chitin, this is a type of carbohydrate. It is a complex carbohydrate. They live in a symbiotic relationship with blue-green algae. Lichens, positive relationship, where both are benefiting each other. Example is yeast, aspergillus, mushroom. Scientific name of mushroom is acaricus. Do I have more information on this? Okay, I have a video. So the next thing about the fungi, I would like to add that fungi, many of them are disease causing also, like aspergillus, it causes aspergillosis. But yeast, it is used in baking industry. So there are many purposes of them. In alcohol industry also, because yeast show fermentation. I don't know whether you know or not, but anaerobic respiration where they produce alcohol. So that's the point. That's their use of it. Now, if I talk about the fungi structure, they also show different way of reproduction. They show sexual reproduction also, where literally fusion of the cells happen. And they show asexual reproduction also. Into the asexual reproduction, if I talk about the yeast, it show budding. You must have learned that in your lower grade. The special property about the yeast is that, I suppose I'm speaking so flat today. I did not crack a joke na, but मुझे ना कोई और आ नहीं रहा है joke. I mean, that's not striking me out. Otherwise, I keep my studies very light. I have too much information in my brain right now. Okay, because I'm teaching the same topic to 11th and 12th, say they have a hell lot of data in their syllabus. So that's the reason. Anyways, I'm trying to make it, crisp for you. Yeast used to show budding. One thing that you have to remember, that yeast show a chain of bud. That doesn't happen in any of the organisms. One yeast, bud over bud, like one cell over one cell over one cell, they are growing. So it's a chain of bud. This question I have seen, I suppose, in the Olympiad paper, which one of the following is having chain of bud yeast? Now, talking about the other fungus, they show spore formation also. Asexual reproduction happen by the spore formation also. Spore formation as in they release spores. Spore means reproductive cell, reproductive body. Like a normal fungus, a bread mold, a spoiled bread, a spoiled pickle we see, but when we see it under the microscope, it appears to be like a thread-like structure, like this. Lot of thread. And this thread together, it makes a mat-like structure because a lot of thread obviously give it a mat-like appearance. Now in the science term, in biological term, to the thread we call it as the hyphae, and to the mat we call it as the mycelia. Mycelia is plural, mycelium is uh, singular. That's why fungi, when we learn that in detail now, we call it as the mycelia at the end, basidiomycelium or something like the classification we added. So mycelia is just a mat-like structure. Now my point is that, guys, how spore are formed onto the thread-like structure only little structure appear which has spore in it. Like suppose this is a thread-like structure, on this a little, this kind of structure appear, which is known as sporangium. And into the sporangium, spores will be present. So when favorable condition is there, this is going to be burst and all spores are going to be out. So wherever these spores are going, they will form a new colony. They will start to grow there again. That's how sexual reproduction. That's how asexual reproduction in them. Spores are also of two types: sexually reproducing and asexually reproducing. But this is the asexually reproducing one I'm telling you. Into the sexual reproduction, literally gametes are fusing. Even from the spores, gametes later formed after. But these are the point that you have to understand, and these are all the properties of fungi. Let me see in your notes also if something else is left, because even I have told you more than that. Yeah, and one more thing that you will say, that fungi do not have any chlorophyll. No chlorophyll, because many students get confused at this point whether they are able to show photosynthesis or not. But no chlorophyll, no photosynthesis. They are heterotrophic, totally on dead and decaying matter. Now you might be thinking that mushroom is so tasty. Mushroom doesn't look like a mat-like structure. But I am saying mat-like structure has a lot of thread. If we see mushroom also under the microscope, eventually it has thread-like structure, every part of it. And then these thread give a different structure externally. But then a lot of threads are there. Mat-like structure means thread obviously makes a mat. Now that's anything else left? I don't think so. But one thing you can remember, that they are showing saprophytic mode of nutrition, and also many of them have parasitic mode of nutrition also, that they are like a parasite and they can cause disease or something like that. With this, we are done with the fungi, and I have a video on this that I'm going to explain you. We actually, in today's part, I told you now we're gonna be learning three kingdoms. So don't worry, the two videos are left, one this and the one that I told you in the last part, the fungus. Let's see. Let me see if I have a written content in this. Okay, so let's do one thing. Acha, they have a written content. Na? It'll become easy actually when there is a written content, not for me. Doesn't matter to me, that's for you. So when they are giving that moisture is the reason that bread mold are having a little mold on it, that's fungus. What exactly are cotton-like structure, what they are made up of? Well, the cotton-like structure is nothing, but these are the living cells, which is fungus. This person is telling in a very dramatic way. Obviously. Yes, I'm referring to the fungi. Many organisms together. The group consists of microorganism and macroorganism structure. What do you mean? Because microscopic are the one that we observed under the microscope, and macroscopic are the one that's bigger one that we just actually see. So microscopic, actually yeast is also microscopic, but microscopic as in we have microscopic stuff to study in it. But macro is observed with the naked eye. So the bigger structure that you literally see is the macroscopic one. Puff balls. That's look like a mushroom, but puff balls. So the microscopic first they are talking about, and they're going to just talk about the bread mold, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to explain spore formation in it. Only a few types like the yeast. So whereas other in spite of impact, so unicellular and multicellular. Yeast is the only fungi that's unicellular. All the fungi are multicellular. So actually, you might be confused that why yeast is known as fungi, because once we see it externally, now it gives appearance like a mat. That's the reason. But otherwise, it's just a single cell. Now, talking about the multicellular structure, they have this sporangium, stalk-like structure, and then sporangium is connected, and that spores are getting formed. They contain spore of the fungi. So when it is breaking up, they're forming the new colony. Now moving to the stalk part. This usually consists of long, slender filament, thread-like structure. This filament are the cell that make up the entire fungal body. They form a dense network together. So these are the filament give yes, hyphae. I'm disclosing you this already. So singular is hypha, plural is hyphae. The thread get interwoven to form a network. The structure is what we call so mycelium is just a mat like because all the thread-like structure. Collection of hyphae. Made up of the mycelium. Absolutely. The stalk that we can see here are also not like the root-like structure. The mycelium made up of the hyphae. Now, one more important question that pops up there: are those made up of one continuous tube? Actually, there are two type of tube. One is the continuous and one is discontinuous. This is discontinuous one. It's having segments in it, partition, and there are also which are without partition. We call it as the septa. Guys, septa is a general term. Septa means something which is separating two things. Cross walls. Septa is a kind of cross wall. So there are two type of hyphae. One is having the cross wall and one is not. So without septum and with septum. Once we do the classification of fungi, we actually do it on the basis of septum. Guys, if you see septate fungi is having cross wall, so it's having all the cell. But into without septum, all the nucleus are present in a line and no cross wall. We call it as the multinucleated hyphae, means cenocytic. Cenocytic is another name of the multinucleated. Please remember it. So yeah, that's their function is talking about that they are the one absorbing nutrition. They release enzyme for the digestion externally, food outside, and then that's broken up and absorbed back. Nice video. So nutrients can be directly passed. However, in septate hyphae, the case is different. Septa have small pores, and inside the cross walls, it'll be moving through the pores. But anyhow, they're being absorbed. I don't think that information is required right now, but it's being shown, so I suppose that's clear. Genetic material fungus is locked in this hyphae into the nucleus. Let me forward the video, what they are telling. Okay, so then they are talking about the macroscopic one with the naked eye. So he's saying that, see, mycelium look like this into this interwoven hyphae. And then internally also they have the fungi. Then he's saying that how reproduction happens. There are several important of fungi in our. So same way reproduction happened by spore formation. And now this person is going to talk about the role of fungi. Symbiotic relationship, I mentioned it. Means multiple and take, they're just dependent on each other. Take and give. Medicinal production, we obviously penicillium, the first one, so it has medicinal value. Next is bakery item. I told you this. Let's move. Branch of microbiological studies first. Fungi. So guys, yeah, we are done with the fungi. I suppose mycology. Wherever you see the word myco now, that means they're talking about the fungi. Mycota, mycetes, fungi. Okay, so now let me show you the video that I was talking about here. In the last part, I was saying. This one, the five kingdom system. Okay. Okay, okay. I have to add notes also for this. Okay, so this is the one that I was talking about. So to learn five kingdom system of classification, he was saying Robert Whittaker has given five kingdom system classification that I told you very initially. So the first one is kingdom Monera, primitive, microscopic, unicellular, no nucleus, bacteria, archibacteria, cyanobacteria, kingdom Protista. Protestants are very beautiful, I tell you. That's a different world inside the microscope. Unicellular, have a nucleus. Examples: amoeba, paramecium, euglena. This is diatom. Algae. Algae is not in this. Algae is a separate category. Please neglect it in this video. Neglect it. Am I able to? No, I'm not able to draw. Cut it. Paramecium. Okay, so sing mycota. Yeah, five. Kingdom fungi is also known as mycota. Remember it. So yeast, mushroom, puffballs, molds. Inside this video, they're going to show the mat-like structure. See how the thread-like structure they're connected, and this is helping in the movement of the nutrient. This is plantae. Plantae and animalia, I don't think I will explain it here. It's very easy video. I don't think for plantae and animalia, I will refer to this video. I will show you some other video at one, but you can just see because I have shown you this. So with this, guys, we are done with the three kingdom system classification. Let me come back to the presentation thing. Here, which organisms are primitive and how they are different from the so-called advanced organism. Obviously, this is about the Monera. This is about the prokaryote. You can give all explanation about it. Next is, in which kingdom will you place an organism which is single-celled, eukaryote, and photosynthetic? I will put it into the protozoa category. Into the protozoa, autotroph and heterotroph are both there. So this is eukaryotic. Now, if it is prokaryote, you could have added some bacteria, but this is protozoa. Protista, sorry, not the protozoa, Protista. Not all the Protista, I have told you plankton, phytoplankton, so phytoprotista. So the one which is able to show photosynthesis, for example, euglena, you can consider it is able to show photosynthesis in the daytime. Okay, so these are some of the examples that we have done, and I have taken few doubts of you. If you have more doubts, you know what you have to do. You have to just throw it at the place where you want to. Click on your discussion board in your account, or just go on the website and click on Ask Expert. And then you can also ask the doubts in the class. But I have tried my best to help you out. You people are very intelligent. You people will be able to cover everything. Thank you for watching this video. I will not waste your time. So bye. Take care.